Welcome back to Cinema Sitdown. I have one question for you. Is there crying in baseball? Today we watched A League of Their Own, and we will discuss it right after this. Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us today. We watched A League of Their Own. I am your host, Jordan Burke, and I'm here with some absolutely amazing people. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Isaiah.
I'm Kayla. I'm Addie.
So like I said, we watched A League of Their Own from 1992, directed by Penny Marshall, who, if you're a sitcom fan, she was in the 80s sitcom Laverne and Shirley. She played Laverne. She also directed Big with Tom Hanks. So there is a little bit of history there. So we did watch A League of Their Own. It is based on a real story about the movement and revolution of women's baseball and how that started. The Rockford Peaches were in fact a real team. I don't know about the other teams, but I do know that one was real. So I know you two had not seen this movie until today. What are your initial thoughts? Noah, what were your thoughts about seeing this for the first time?
You know, when you go in with no expectations, your expectations always get blown away. So it definitely helped, because this was actually a really good movie. And like, it seemed like it was more like a movie script than a real story. And then we find out it was a real story. It's like, hold on now, it's like, life is a movie. But I liked it a lot. I think it was very powerful. And I think it was lighthearted. It has a few little serious moments, but I think it's fit for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a true story, like you mentioned, but they really just nailed the characters, and they made this event into like a really good story, which sometimes the two don't correlate, you know. History doesn't mean a good story, but they pulled it off. It was really good.
Right. Now, I've seen this movie 100 times. Like I said on our other show, Real Time Roundtable, which if you haven't seen it, go check it out. This is my favorite sports movie of all time. I love it so much. It just reminds me of being a kid. I've watched it since I was a little baby. But you two have both seen it.
Yeah.
Kayla, what were your thoughts? Did you have any new emotions come up while watching it?
Probably not new, but I definitely still felt that sense of
right.
This movie, I've seen it so many times. Fun fact though, seen it maybe 5 times in my life. Turns out, until today, I've never seen the first 20 minutes, and I didn't realize it. So that's something. But now I see the movie with a new light because I've seen those first 20 minutes.
Changes everything.
Changes everything.
Addie, what were your thoughts watching this again?
Oh man, I just love this movie so much. It touches on so many really important topics, and just like the overall that it is based on like a true story and stuff like that, and has a lot of the same characters and stuff like that in it is just really, really cool. It's just really empowering.
Right.
You know what I mean? But
right. So I want to talk about what is sort of the main reasoning for starting the Women's Baseball League was that during the war, the men left and people didn't really have anything to watch because there were no men to play baseball. And a group of people decided, what if we get women, because they are visually appealing, to play baseball? And only until the war is over, men come back, they take over. What are your guys' thoughts on them trying to push beauty versus talent? Because they were only going after visually appealing women, or at least what they thought would get more attention, when in reality at the end of the movie we realized that their talent is kind of what got them their popularity of baseball. You guys have any thoughts on that? Addie, let's start with you.
yeah, it makes me sad that that's what had happened before. I mean, and we're still kind of facing that still in this society, I guess, and just standards of certain things. But if it wasn't for this, I don't know how much longer women's baseball, or even just women's sports in general, how that would affect now. But I do not like the fact that that is how a lot of women were treated. Was it just seemed oh, you have to really be picture perfect to do this sort of thing, and I don't feel like that's right. But then again, if it wasn't for that, I don't know where we would be right now, you know.
Right.
I feel like the mentality they had almost was the guys they had the talent, and that was what putting on a show was. You know, the good baseball players, that was their show. When they all left, they're like, well, women gotta look nice. We gotta put on a show, you know? So like they're like, psh, women in baseball, psh, but pretty people, that's a show.
Right.
So it's more thinking about entertainment instead of like
Right.
actual baseball skill, which is what that's a good old American way is your baseball skill.
Yeah, I like that you said they saw it as entertainment, because they were like, oh, we just need, I think at the beginning they were like, oh, we just need a couple bucks. You know, we just need to have a game to make a couple bucks. When for these women, it was their job, it was their life. They put their heart and soul into this game. Baseball is kind of what kept them going. Isaiah, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, I mean, like you said, it was a job, but also they were putting everything into this. You know, they talked about broken fingers, and obviously they were put in these dresses that were not made for playing sports in, and they just had to work twice as hard, really, as the men, because they had to try and look good, wear these really just unsafe clothing items, and also be good. So they were doing all sorts of different things, and they had this whole weird training section where they were like being taught how to do their posture,
how to be elegant,
yes,
how
and
to
how
be
to pour
proper.
tea.
Yeah.
And it's like, what are you doing?
There's how you walk down the stairs.
Yeah, so
I think I would jump out the window of that school.
right.
For real.
So like, yeah, they were really good at baseball, but it was just put second to them looking good first. And even the male characters realize kind of this hypocrisy, but they just don't care. So
I definitely agree with everything you said, especially when them going to the school or whatever. I was just like, okay, now you're doing too much. With the books on the head, I'm just like, this has nothing to do with baseball. But I think this just goes to show that men are just so simple-minded, like especially when you go back in time, like to like around that time, it's just like put pretty women on screen, make money. It's like, dang, bro, there's a lot more to it than that. And I'm glad the movie started to show that, like, hey, like skill is low-key more attractive than looks. You know what I'm saying? People would rather see who's good than to see what just looks good on the screen. It's like, it's crazy that these women had to actually go out there and really like try their hardest to actually just even show that when it should have been common sense. It's like, it's crazy to think that's like how a lot of people thought back then.
Right.
Like, I don't know. So it's real powerful that it did that.
It is powerful. And kind of going on that beauty versus talent, at the very beginning, the recruiter that has Dottie and Kit with him, they go and see another girl to see if she's good. And this girl is just hitting. What were you saying?
I said they wasn't even gonna take her.
They weren't gonna take her. She's hitting home run after home run. They're inside because it's raining in like a school gym, and she's just hitting balls outside,
breaking all the
windows.
Right.
She's clearly good. And then she comes over to the recruiter and she takes her hat off and he goes, "Ooh,
They are.
we'll let you know." He doesn't like her because.
By the way, I thought she was adorable.
She's
I loved her.
She's so cute. She's got these giant blue eyes. She's adorable, but they don't want her because she's not pretty. But Dottie and Kit go, "No, we're not going," and they throw their stuff down. And he's like, "Nope, come on, we gotta go." I'm not going. You're gonna take her, or you're gonna get none of us.
Yeah.
Which kind of moves me to my next topic about all these girls. They said 4 girls, 16 girls to a team. Most of them are complete strangers. A couple of them knew each other, but mostly they're strangers. And by the end of this movie, they are a massive family. They all support each other. And the first time we kind of see strangers supporting each other, I'm gonna get choked up like thinking about it. It's such like a powerful moment for me. After tryouts, there's a list of names, a bunch of lists of names. If your name's on the list, you made it. If your name's not on the list, I'm sorry, go home. Everyone's found their name. They're all on their teams except for one girl, Shirley Baker. She cannot find her name, and another girl gets up, runs over to her. "What's wrong?" "I can't read." And how quickly this woman stood up and ran over to protect somebody and to help somebody was so emotional and so powerful. I'm like, I can feel my throat like choking up thinking about it.
I think that moment was even more powerful, like, because the coach guy who was standing there, he just assumed that, like, she was upset because her name wasn't on the list.
Yeah.
He just thought she was being a sore loser.
Yeah, he's
But
like,
in
well, if your
reality,
name's not there, you're not on. Go home.
Yeah.
She's like, I don't know.
She was genuinely stressed and just didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And
Right.
my heart.
It's completely
So
girl code. And so like when she went up there, I was like, yeah you do. Get up there. And then like everybody else, like when they like sat down, they're all like clapping, and it's just like, he's like, oh, well there you go. I'm like,
Well, and even like before that, when they go and meet the girl who's just hitting home runs in this like gym or something like that, Dottie, or is the main
Dottie.
character Dottie and her sister Kit, they like put down their suitcases whenever he's
Yeah.
like, I don't want her, you know, and they're like, no, you know, you're not seeing her for what she can, you know, provide for this team besides looking good. So even in like the first, like, I don't know, 20 minutes of the movie, they're showing like these women are standing up for each other.
Right.
Even if like once they get on the team too, like even though they're competing against one another, they're still trying to support each other, because, you know, in the grand scheme of things, everyone's success is kind of the goal, because they're trying to push this idea that women can do these kind of things. So helping each other is really beneficial in the end for everyone. So
Yeah, they were showing that the girls really had the qualities for top players. They had the determination. They was out there willing to be out there, what they say, driving in like 100-degree weather, driving all night just to play like a double game and all this other crazy stuff. They were sticking together from the jump and everything. And like, if you look at qualities of like great athletes and whatnot, like these women really showed like those qualities like the whole time. It was crazy. So.
I'm glad you brought up great athletes, because the next thing I want to talk about is at the very beginning we see Dottie as she's much older. This whole movie is kind of a flashback. It's the reunion of, well, no, they're getting abducted into the Hall of Fame, the Women's Baseball Hall of Fame. But you got something?
Inducted.
Inducted? What did I say?
you said abducted.
Inducted.
I know what you meant though.
That's what I said, inducted.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, she says, I guess to her daughter, she says, I don't want to go. I wasn't really a part of it. This wasn't really for me. And throughout the entire movie, everyone's going, but you're the best. She's the best in the league. She only played one season, but she's the best in the league. You guys have thoughts on that at all?
Yeah, the way I kind of took it was that in her mind, her life goal in society is to have kids and be a good house taker. So in her mind, she didn't achieve anything, which is really sad. And obviously she quits after the first season. So in her mind, she's like, I didn't do anything in terms of sports. I didn't achieve anything. And that's just really sad. And by the end of it, you're just like as you're watching the whole movie, you get to understand why she feels that way, even though she is succeeding. And then by the end, it's like you kept saying bittersweet.
Yeah,
It's really just a bittersweet moment, because she realizes like, hey, I'm more than this, and I have another family, and they appreciate me for who I am, you know, just as a person. Because I mean, they didn't really show her husband to be necessarily a bad guy, but it's clear, you know, he
was a
does,
guy in the 40s.
Right, yeah. I mean, he still favors her being a housewife than playing baseball, right? So, because obviously he like went to one game, but then he was like, all right, time to go home, and you don't get to go back, because she never went to do another season.
Encouraged her to stay.
Exactly.
He should have been like, these girls need you, you stay.
She was famous and she was making money too.
What the heck?
Look at that.
$75. We did the translation or the calculation.
Yeah.
$75 a week is what they was getting paid then. That's like $1,600 today.
Really?
I did not know it was that much.
Yeah, 1940, $75 a week is $1,600 a day. So she was probably making more than him.
I was about to say, why not? But I guess labels and stuff like that from it too.
You
But
probably just want to be the breadwinner.
right.
You know, you make too much money now. You make me look bad.
Swap.
Do you guys have any thoughts about Dottie playing one season and then still being considered the best in the league?
I mean, that really goes to show how much of an impact she did. I would argue that also, like, even though, putting on the show was like, why rely on putting on a show when you can just be good at baseball? She was the first one to step out and do that and start bringing attention so that other people could pay attention to their skills versus just pretty face.
Yeah,
so I want to give that to her, I guess.
Yeah, that is true. She was kind of like, I just want to play baseball. I don't want to, you know, show off. But then they said, we're potentially getting close. Money's kind of going down. And she was the first one, somebody hit a foul ball. She caught it by doing the splits. And it made the headline of the newspaper, I guess. But Addie, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I just, like, I guess, like, which I don't know if you're going to talk about this already, but, like, the dynamic just between Dottie, though, and, like, Kit, because, like, I don't know about you guys, I can totally put myself in, like, her position of, like, one sibling just being naturally really good at it, and then the other sibling trying so hard to be at that point, but they just can't, because one is just naturally just really talented at it, and it's hard, you know, to see that like Kit had to like work her way up to be as good or even better than Dottie. And it's that I think she almost hated Dottie for almost like not caring as much because she had that talent, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like baseball was Kit's thing. She
It was her
loved
life.
that. But her sister didn't even care and was so much better, and she's just like,
No, exactly.
I can see that passion.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a sibling, like that part really got to me. Like whenever like after the final like game, they hug and like they kind of like reach this kind of agreement or understanding. Like, hey, each one of us are not really trying to hurt the other. We're just trying our best. And that part really just hit home because I'm an oldest sibling, and you know that's something I kind of like worry about is like, how do I set like an example without making them feel like they have to like follow in my lead because I want them to do their own thing to the best of their capacity without like feeling like they have to go up to me. And I feel like parents really force that kind of idea. So yeah, I just really like that dynamic and how it ended.
Right. It did end on a happy note. Now Kit and Dot did not have the happiest relationship all the time. They kind of get into it at one point about, I guess, about Dottie not caring as much and not being passionate as much. And Kit says, "You hold me back." Do you guys think that if Dottie had not tried out, had not made the team, and they had just let Kit go by herself, would she have been more successful, or does Dottie actually hold her back?
First,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say first off, they wouldn't have even picked Kit up without Dottie. This Kit couldn't hit that ball right. She was swinging too high, and so they really brought Dottie on. They didn't brought Kit. But you're right. Like if they had brought Kit on without Dottie, I don't know. I don't think it would have just like skyrocketed her skill. You know what I'm saying? Like I think they both had a skill level. Dottie was low key up here, and Kit was here. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like even without Dottie there, shoot, they probably might not have still won. You know, she probably would have stayed on that team and probably just still wouldn't have won.
Yeah, for me, I feel like, I mean, yeah, Kit's a little bit lower in skill level, but I feel like Dottie being there motivated her to try and keep doing better.
Right.
And that's kind of like a more, not necessarily super healthy, but kind of what Jimmy, I feel like, was trying to do by being so aggressive was like push people, but it wasn't really helping. But I feel like Dottie was still somewhat being supportive and like challenging her and not going easy on her so that she could work up to the same skill level, because she didn't go easy on her the entire game. She was still making her fight for that win. So I think she was really a good sibling, and I don't think Kit would have gotten up to where she needed to be without Dottie being there.
Right.
Yeah, I think like you said, I mean, she was actually like purposefully trying to make her lose. Like Tanya's like, yeah, hit high. She can't do that. And then ends up actually hitting a high ball, which is like, in your face, but not the point. But like, wait, what was it that you just said about like
trying to reach up to her level and like motivation?
Yeah, no, exactly. I feel that like completely, because it's like, I think Kit probably could have like gone on her own, but I don't think the doors specifically that were open for this league, it would have worked out, if that makes sense. So I think she was good enough, but does that make sense? Like, I mean, I just I don't think those specific doors to which Dottie led her through, like it would have worked out that way if Dottie had not gone at all. But
yeah, I see.
Do you have any
I
thoughts?
have a small thought.
Go for it.
I just want to say, like, if she had somehow gotten into the league without Dottie, I noticed how, like, when she got to that other team, the brief scenes we saw with her on that other team, the Bells, were they called?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. She seemed to flourish almost, just like the little bits. I know she seemed really happy with those other girls that we never met, we didn't know, so I'm not sure about that, but I mean, like, if Dottie hadn't been there, she wouldn't have gotten the league, yes, but once she was away, she did seem to flourish, so.
yeah, I agree.
Right. All right, so to quickly kind of wrap us up, do you have any final thoughts, final ratings of the film?
Overall, well, final rating, 9 out of 10. You know what I'm saying? I like the stuff that like is based on true stories. So I think it's definitely 9 out of 10. I don't know. I think I like it. We didn't mention Dugan at all, but I think Dugan was kind of a nice dynamic for the girls. So I think I like that a lot.
We love Tom Hanks.
I'll probably give it like a very strong 8. Tom Hanks' character, I think he had he never became a good character, but he did have some arcs to
He had
him
growth.
and some
Quite a bit of
growth.
growth.
So I really like that. I don't like perfect characters, so the fact that
Right,
he got a
yes.
few good things, but he didn't become a good person, I really like those kind of characters.
You're right. I personally give it a 10 out of 10. This is one of my favorite movies. It made me cry many, many times, so I give it a 10.
This movie, it gets you in the feels. It's something that's near and dear to me as someone who's seen it the whole time. One thing I wish is that we knew more about these women other than just having to rely on the movie to tell us. I wish they would have told us about them before I saw this movie. 9 out of 10, I like it a lot.
9.5 only because it did make me cry, and I didn't really like that. But if I overlooked that, it would definitely be a 10. Feminism, am I right?
And there's no crying in baseball.
It's true.
No crime.
Per
Exactly.
Per Newman's word.
Yeah.
Although if the time is right, I guess there can be crying in
You
baseball.
can shed a tear.
You can shed a tear.
One tear.
Yeah.
Get one
Yeah.
tear
Yeah.
the whole
That's
season.
it.
After that.
That's it. All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining me as we watched A League of Their Own. This was Cinema Sitdown. Make sure you check out our other content on Red Digital. We'll see you next time.
That's crazy. We did a whole